I think the number one thing of folks that are successful in whatever it is, it's being a school teacher or raising money or starting a business. Like, you have to be curious, right? So we had talked earlier about you were kind of like in a spot where you needed to do something. So how did you figure out how to do it? You started looking into it. And I think the most successful people are really curious about how things work.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So hey, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. Josh Cantwell here, and I'm so thrilled and excited that you're taking a few minutes out of your day to spend with me and my guests to level up your investing, level up your entrepreneurship, live a life of freedom and abundance with you and your family and your friends. And I hope and thank you that I'm able to spend time with you and be a part of it. Today, my guest is Paul and Adam Vincent from Vincent Esquire. They're attorneys. They're based out of Cleveland. They work with entrepreneurs, and they have a lot of insight into what it takes not only to be a successful entrepreneur, but how to grow a business, how to scale a business, and then how to invest the profits in real estate. So Paul and Adam, thanks so much for joining me today, buddies. How you doing?
Hey, I hope we can live up to that.
Doing great.
Set a high bar for us. Yeah, no, man, thanks a lot for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, you bet. So guys, you graduated from college, decided to be attorneys. First thing I'm always interested in hearing about is when attorneys decided to create their own practice. Of course, they not only have their legal hat on, but now they put on the entrepreneurship hat themselves. You guys decided to go that route. So help me understand, when you decided to become an attorney, why start your own firm instead of go work for one of the big ones?
Yeah, I always, when people ask stuff like that, I say it's my mom's fault. She just gave us too many hugs, so we thought we could do whatever. But yeah, so we actually had an opportunity where a buddy of mine had a big tax lien buyer client, and they were moving into Northeast Ohio, and he's down in Southern Ohio, down in Hamilton County. And it just happened to be that he was telling me about what he was doing. I had worked with him in a couple years prior, and he's like, hey, they're actually thinking about coming up north. I was like, dude, if they want to come north, I'll be the guy. No, like, I'll figure it out. So it was like what I remember now, only feeling like 5 minutes later, but it was only like a month or two later. He was like, hey, they're coming north, man. What are you ready to do? And then we thought about it for about 25 minutes or so. And then we were just like, screw it, we're going to do it. And we had a perspective too back then. Our older brother had passed away, and it's kind of like when you have something like that happen, you're like, you're here for such a short time. We should have fun and do what we want. And so that kind of, I think, was a big thing for me. Do you remember anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're being brothers. We've shared a room at college together. We spent a lot of time. We
stuck. Absolutely stuck.
We turned out, we're like, looked up. Like, hey, we're in the same industry, So we knew we'd probably do something. It was a little sooner than we expected. I was a relatively new attorney, and so I think deciding to do it was, like Paul said, perhaps not necessarily for good reason. No, just kidding. But it was saying to ourselves, why not now, and being ready for whatever challenges that came ahead.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
And you have a partner that you can trust and that you're going to hustle with. I mean, we figured we did.
Yeah, that's right.
That helps too. So
nice. So starting a business and becoming a new lawyer all at the same time, definitely not easy, not much different than I'm going to start investing in real estate and maybe quit my job in order to be in real estate. But now I'm a real estate investor and I'm also an entrepreneur. I got to figure out how to build a business. So what have been some of the keys or things that you guys have done well in building your business? Your business just happens to be being attorneys. Other guys build a business that happen to be, like you said, one of your clients sells bulletproof vests, and other clients invest in real estate, and other clients are building maybe an e-commerce business. But what are some key things that you've seen in your own practice that have helped you guys build a successful business around law?
Yeah, I think one of the most important, probably the most important things when you're starting a business is, hey, where are my clients going to come from, and how much are they going to pay me? So we kind of found out, not the hard way, but we found out very, very quickly that when we had this kind of cash cow client that was sending a bunch of these tax liens across the table, it was really easy to be lazy and not out, shaking hands, eating lunches and things. So we saw when that opportunity started to dissolve because they didn't get the next bid in these counties and things, we said, we should go meet people. So I think one of the most important things is one, having a plan. I mean, if you have a feeder where a bunch of money and cash flow is coming in immediately because maybe you left like an insurance shop and you started your own or whatever, and you have that cash flow kind of already built in, that's really good. But one of the most important things is learning the value and the importance of networking. Everything is sales. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer that sells, SEC compliance, or you're, a guy that needs to raise capital for apartment complexes. Everything is sales. So I would just say for anybody that's interested in that is if you're not interested in expanding a network and pitching product, it's going to be really hard. But if you are interested, I mean, it's just it's gratifying. It provides a lot of freedom, and it's really, really great. So.
Yeah. How have you guys structured your firm in such a way? A lot of the great businesses that I've seen, I've consulted with, or I've invested in, or I've just heard or read about, a lot of them are partnerships. You typically have one guy or one gal that's kind of the face of the company, maybe out selling, being on webinars or stages, selling the business, or even in real estate, maybe being the acquisitions manager who's out buying the properties, the flips, the single family rentals, the apartment building. And then another guy, kind of an opposite skill set typically, somebody who's more back at the office, maybe taking care of the operational side of things, making sure that deals are closing, that we're collecting money, we're making profits. Someone's kind of out in front stirring the pot, and someone makes sure at the back of the, that we can sell whatever's in the pot and keep money in the house to grow a company. How have you guys structured your business in such a way that you guys can, really optimize each other's skill sets? Even though, brothers probably have a lot of the same characteristics.
Yeah, sure. Right. You can tell.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to say he's the on camera personality, the talent, the rainmaker. But no, Paul's more outgoing. He had more experience when we get started. Maybe help that way. But he's the one that's out there making relationships.
And Adam's just smarter.
And so. I'm traditionally been more of a nerd. Spend more time reading books and.
I'm street smart though, Mom.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Mom, I'm street smart.
So that's what I was. Yeah, I mean, and it works out that way. Obviously, there's overlap and that sort of thing, but I think that's really how it's played out. And I'm doing my best to get out there, make more friends, and spend less time.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's typically how successful businesses are run. You've got one,
right.
And it comes down to mutual respect, right? You respect each other because you're brothers, but you respect the fact that you have different skill sets. Somebody needs to be out in front. And a lot of times I've seen if businesses not work, you have a guy who's out in front who thinks he's so important or she's so important to the company because they're the rainmaker. They bring in clients, they bring in deals, if they bring in whatever, and they discount the person in the back of the house that's really dotting every I, crossing every T, getting every deal across the goal line. So you guys seem to have that lick that one of you likes to be out front, one of you maybe likes to be more the smarter one, the nerd, the operations guy, right. Whatever it is.
You can say it, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever it is. But that a lot of businesses, it's great to see that you guys have set it up that way. Maybe naturally set it up that way at birth, but yeah. you guys have done that. So let's talk a little bit more about your clients and some of the same specifics and characteristics that they may have. You guys have clients that are in real estate, but all different kind of other niches. And you help them again with this trilogy of starting a business, scaling a business, and then, typically investing a lot of the profits in real estate. Tell me about some of those clients. What are some characteristics that they have that you guys have witnessed that have allowed them to grow and be successful?
Yeah, one thing we always kind of go back to, and we talk a lot on our to our clients, and like we have this little silly podcast, but it's curiosity. So I think the number one thing of folks that are successful in whatever it is, it's being a school teacher or raising money or starting a business, like you have to be curious, right? So like, we had talked earlier about you were kind of like in a spot where you needed to do something. So how did you figure out how to do it? You started looking into it. And I think the most successful people are really curious about how things work, not like how a watch is made or something, but like, how do you start a company that lends on commercial buildings? How do you start a law firm? How do you get a client that buys tax liens? What the hell is a tax lien? So I think curiosity for me is the number one, characteristic if I had to nail that down.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's a little bit of flexibility that comes with that. If you got to be ready for whatever it is you find out through your curiosity.
Good or
right?
bad.
You got to be able to adjust and be flexible. Have a little bit of courage. There's going to be ups and downs. You got to have some patience. You got to have trust with your partners. You got to have patience with clients or customers or whoever it is. One of the things about Paul mentioned sales is a huge thing, and a big part of it is having patience with people and not burning bridges. Right.
Right. Absolutely.
The short term, you might feel like somebody's completely in the wrong, but what's the point of burning that bridge, right? So you figure out how to be patient with people, give them benefit of the doubt and that sort of thing. But I think curiosity and flexibility, I think he was actually a lawyer, but he got out and did a lot of things in the business world and real estate. And one of the things he told me as a mentor when I was new, he said, one of the things I think set me apart was I wasn't as scared as most people of getting sued in business deals. And so he's like, that gives you a little leg up when you're a lawyer and you understand the mechanisms of it and what you can negotiate and that sort of thing. Not that you want to get sued or you want to, have outline claims, but it's that perspective of understanding and the things behind the scenes that kind of set you apart and give you a leg up.
My newest and most powerful real estate investing book, The Flip System, is now available. And for a limited time, you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. Using the same proven principles, secrets, and investing strategies I'm sharing in this book, I've been able to personally close over 750 highly profitable real estate deals over the last 15 years, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million of private money, and acquire over 2,000 units of apartments. Get my newest book now for free for a limited time at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast. So tell me, curiosity, flexibility, I heard courage, trust in your partners, patience. So those are all like actions and feelings, right? And things that you have to have. How about in the businesses that you've consulted with and advised, whether they're real estate businesses or outside of real estate? From the day-to-day operation, do you see anything in the way that they run their companies? Is it hiring the right people, hiring A players? Is it standard operating procedures? Is it just maybe focusing on one niche? Like you talked about this huge client you had, all they did was tax liens. And you see so many companies, especially new entrepreneurs, that are like, I see people on Facebook and Instagram all the time. They're like, last year I started 7 businesses. And I'm like, and this year they're all going to go bankrupt.
That's right.
So they have like a laser focus on one thing. So what are some of the additional characteristics that you see in how they operate on a day-to-day basis that have allowed them to be successful? You obviously have some insight into these companies that most of the people wouldn't, being an advisor and a lawyer to those businesses.
Yeah. I think you got to pay attention to the problem areas. So we see a lot of problems with boss to employee. It's like, I don't even have an employment manual, or, I let this employee show up late 2 hours every Thursday, but somebody else has, got terminated because they were gone for 10 minutes. So I think having systems in place is very important. Probably just as important to that is knowing that you don't know everything. So rely on people that do know what they're doing. we have meetings all the time. We ask, just, over lunch, hey, this, are you doing this? Are you doing this? And they, of course, no one does. So kind of goes back to curiosity, but just know that you don't know everything. And you have to rely on people that know those specific things because you don't even know what to ask. So the most successful people I see know that they're not the smartest person in the room, and they rely on a lot of other people.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to add. I think it's important. Entrepreneurs are kind of self-made or whatever kind of idea that's out there about what an entrepreneur is. But really, you got to be, even if you are self-made, once you're made, you have to also continue to grow and address problems as they come up and recognize them, like Paul said. And it really comes down to also being humble enough to seek out help when you need it and to do things the right way.
Right. Yeah, you think about like when I see like this, we just got done with this college football season, right? And there's all these coaches and bowl games and all this different kind of stuff. And, they always interview the coach at the end. And I love it when you hear a coach say things like, my players are the most important part of the team. It's all about the players, right? And I have some friends that work for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're like, it's all about the players, right? Because the organization, whether it's the team, same thing in business, the organization is really made up of the players, the teammates, the staff, the employees that make it happen. Somebody has to sit in the captain's chair. Somebody has to sit in the CEO's seat. But that seat is really no more or less important than the other seats because all the seats are important, right? And successful entrepreneurs that I've seen, they're very humble, but also know exactly what the hell they want. So in times in my business when we've run really well, I can look back and say, I was humble, but I absolutely knew where the company had to go, and I drove everybody in that location that way. And there were times when I was confused about what we should be doing. I didn't know, maybe there was a new wrinkle in the business or something happened. I wasn't sure where to go. And then everyone's confused and things don't work as well. So the CEO, if you're growing a business, you got to have that humility, but also have to know exactly. That's what you're there for as a CEO. Look what Donald Trump is doing to our country. Like him or hate him, he knew exactly what he wanted the country to look like, and he's pushing that direction forward. He was hired, voted to be the CEO, if you will, and some people hate him, some people love him, but he's doing exactly what his vision is for this country. No different than the guys who have been CEOs at Disney, Bob Iger and Walt Disney himself. They knew exactly where they wanted to go, and they pushed in that direction, but sat back and were super, super humble about it. I'm sure you guys see that in the CEOs that you consult with.
Yeah, you can tell like a leader, right? Because then that leader kind of drives the culture, and culture is so important, right? If your employees hate going to work because you suck, the whole deal is going to blow. So leadership is important, making sure you're driving good culture. Those are, the most fun places to work are usually the ones that are growing the fastest. So that's obviously a very important piece.
That's a great point. Yeah, culture and growth is tough to fake. It's tough to manufacture. It really comes with everyone feeling like they're making progress, right? That's a great culture builder. And I've been in companies, I've owned companies that were kind of going the wrong direction, and you can't manufacture good culture. It's hard, you try, but it's really, really difficult to do it. So awesome. So let's talk about this trilogy you guys have worked through: starting a business, scaling a business, and investing in real estate. So what are some of the advice that you guys pass along to entrepreneurs? Maybe they already own one business and they're starting another one, or maybe they're in real estate, but they want to get into e-commerce, or they're in e-commerce and they want to get into real estate. What are some pillars, I guess, if you will, some common traits of things that they need to do right to start a business successfully and get it off the ground?
Yeah, I just the most basic thing is having a legal entity run the show, right? And that legal entity needs to have a formal backing, which usually comes, if it's an LLC, in the form of an operating agreement. If you have partners, you obviously need an operating agreement to kind of put in writing what everybody's going to do, how it's going to run, who can, checkbook authority and that sort of thing. And then God forbid something were to happen to one of the partners, like, hey, now what, right? Who gets bought out? Is someone going to get bought out? Is a trust going to take over? Is a spouse now a new partner? So, that kind of initially, I think, is the most basic thing.
Yeah, and I think one important thing we always encourage clients to think about, even when we've talked to them, say, go talk to somebody, but find a lawyer that you like to talk to,
Right.
that'll take your call, that will earn their money, but also be somebody that can help you in the bigger, not just with drafting one document, right?
Yeah.
One thing we pride ourselves on is not just getting a call for drafting the document the client thinks he or she needs and then being done with it. It's more about a holistic view. So find somebody that's gonna kind of look at your business in the big picture and help it grow and address the problems as they come along. Not just draft one thing and then wait a couple of months until you call back or that sort of thing. So somebody that's going to be a resource to bounce ideas off of and help you really identify
how
what it
bad
is
is this idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
and be willing to offer you the bad advice you might need.
Yeah, and like as lawyers or any kind of service industry, you can just call anybody, but we should tell people like, hey, look, just because we're the first warm body you may have called because you found us somehow or somebody referred, don't think you should be obligated. Like shop around. You have to not look forward to the call, but you can't dread when the lawyer calls. You're like, I can't stand this person. Like if that's what it is, lawyers or any professional service, they should be not legally a partner, but really a partner in kind of what your goal is. So, find that, spend time. You can't really know somebody until you drink coffee or eat lunch or find out about their family or what they're up to. So like spend time with people. You can't know them until you actually can ask them questions. So that's
right.
And make and be able to make the call before the problem.
Yeah.
Or
right.
plan.
If you're gonna fire that person,
issues.
call me yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So.
So those are some things that are going on.
What I've noticed too is.
Go ahead.
What I've noticed too is when I've seen deals go bad, right? And as a lender, we've seen deals go bad. And I've seen borrowers that we lent money to that got sideways on a deal, but then later found out that they had already also borrowed money from someone else, like a mom and pop private lender or a mom and pop joint venture partner equity investor. And then the equity investor's calling us saying like, hey, I have a joint venture agreement with this guy. And, he owes me money and don't lend him any more cash. And I'm like, well, okay, send me the operating agreement. And there is no operating agreement. You're not on the LLC. You're not on the operating agreement. Like, and oh, by the way, like I can't even discuss this loan with you. Like I'm not authorized to discuss it with you unless you get authorization from your partner, and he doesn't want to give you authorization, right? And so it's a lot like I don't know if this is the right analogy, but I think it is. Like it's a lot like life insurance. And I used to be in the financial services world. You got to buy it before you need it. With working with an attorney, getting the advice up front and bringing that attorney to the table is always going to be less costly than if you've got to make up for it down the road. Right.
Absolutely.
Got to buy it before you need it.
Yeah, exactly. And no one puts together an operating agreement planning a company going sideways.
Totally
or
failing.
partners never talking to each other again. Whatever. You don't do that. But you got to do what's right. Do the adult thing and put the documents in place in the event things don't go as planned. When you're starting a new business, everybody's excited. Everybody thinks it's going to be the next thing and be great. But you got to plan for that alternative.
Yeah, and for your listeners, a joint venture agreement just isn't like, hey, we jointly agree to do something. Like put it in writing, like you get it down and also be in violation of SEC compliance.
Right, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, joint venture agreement could easily be a security, right? Especially if you have one operator that's doing the deal and the other person's profits are dependent upon the other operator. Typically, that's going to be looked at as a potential security.
I love people that think they're smarter than the SEC that's been around since the 30s, right? Like, oh, they've never thought of this. We'll put this as a JV. Oh, we should be fine.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're not.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. Yeah, so growth, right? So the second pillar is kind of scaling a business. What are some of the things that, again, you're advising your clients to do, some of the characteristics that you see successful businesses doing, and then conversely, the businesses that are failing when they're trying to scale? What are some things that you're seeing that they potentially do wrong? Whether it's maybe not having enough funding, whether it's they're bootstrapping it and they have a great idea but they don't have the capital. Maybe it's their entity structure, or maybe it's a bad employee or a great employee. There's growing a business in a really smart way and doing a good job, and then there's the opposite, which is your business is failing. Usually it's because you did one thing right over here or did the exact opposite over there. So what are some of the things that you guys see along those lines in successfully scaling companies or businesses that are really struggling?
Yeah, in order to really grow, you have to drop the white knuckling of what your day-to-day operations are. So the most important thing is making sure you have a team that can take some of those tasks, because you can't grow if you're just trying to do everything yourself. So hiring people is important. Make sure you're hiring them properly. Make sure you have the boring employment manuals and things in place. So in case you got to fire them, they'll be on that they're going to get fired for that sort of thing. So I think that's the big thing, is letting go to responsibilities that you can shove off to somebody else, so you can go do something that is a better revenue generating activity.
Yeah, and as you're growing and establishing these new roles that you're going to hire for, you hire the right people, you got to establish that culture, and then they have to know what they're supposed to be doing, what their expectations are. And I think it's easy for a person who's been doing everything to just say, okay, take over X, Y, and Z, and the person understands and knows exactly what X, Y, Z means, but they often don't. So, it really does take time to grow. You can't just set a lofty goal about how much growth you're going to have this year and then think it's just going to fall into place. It really takes a lot of that planning, establishing the framework that's necessary to get to that growth in a healthy way, in an organized way. So it's not a chaotic office and not a business that set a super high lofty goal, but instead of moving toward it, it was going up the hill. But then ultimately, the way it was done is just going to go off the cliff. And so there's no use setting that lofty goal of growth if it's going to, in the end, lead to that. So being thoughtful about it. It really takes time. It really takes time sitting down and figuring out your plan or the team's plan, and then getting the professionals in to help advise you on getting there.
Yeah, no doubt. I've used this analogy in the past that building a business is like a marathon. If you look at a marathon as 26 miles, I think it's 26.2 miles, right, to run a marathon.
That's right. That's what the stickers say.
Yeah, that's what the sticker says, right? 26.2. But building a business, like in order to build a business, I think the biggest mistake I see from a lot of entrepreneurs is I'm going to build a business. They, one, don't know how they're going to exit the business. And two, they're doing it because it's a good idea that they think is a good idea, something they're passionate for. But they don't have a long-term approach on it. They're like, well, I'll just start this business and see how it goes, as opposed to I'm going to start this business and I'm going to build it for the rest of my life, or build it for the next 5 to 10 to 20 years, and then I'm going to exit it with a specific exit strategy. So if you look at business as 26 miles or 26 million, I've often used the analogy, and I heard this from Kevin O'Leary when he spoke at my event. He said, look, when you're going from 0 to 5 million, think of 0 to 5 miles when you're running the marathon. The first 5 miles or the first 5 million, you can absolutely sprint. You can work long hours. You can work 18, 20-hour days. You can just muscle it as a small operation. The CEO or the one main salesperson can drive tons of revenue, and you could just push that boulder uphill for the first 5 million or the first 5 miles. But in order to then, nobody can sprint for 26 miles. Right. Nobody can sprint for 26 million. But you can sprint to 5 miles, you can sprint to 5 million. And then after 5 million, Kevin O'Leary, when I was talking to him, he's like, I've never seen a company get beyond 5 million where the CEO at that point wasn't able to successfully pivot and get away from the sprint and getting into successful management, hiring people that could then backfill and do what the CEO was doing, creating standard operating procedures, hiring the right people, giving them marching orders, giving them goals, and then giving them the room, the time, and the slack to be able to actually do their job, right? Many of us were like, I gave you a goal on Monday and it's Tuesday afternoon. Why isn't that done yet?
Yeah, that's right.
As opposed to like, here's 90 days. We agree on a goal. We agree on something you're going to get done. and give them the 90 days to get that done, make it happen, check back in every quarter. And so sprint phase is very important, right? The first 5 million, the first 5 miles. But then the businesses that really grow and last for a long time, they typically have that CEO or that partnership team at the top that are successfully able to kind of let go of the reins and let the team take over from there. And the CEO's job is looking at blind spots, like you guys talked about earlier, things that are wrong in the business, things that need to be fixed. So let's move on to step number 3. Step number 3 of your sort of trilogy that you help clients with is then investing in real estate. It could be their number one priority. It could be their business, or it could be that they have another business and they invest the profits in real estate. So why do people invest just passively? From your perspective, you deal with hundreds of investors all the time. What's the number one attraction to investing in cash flowing passive real estate?
Yeah, I think it's always a lifestyle thing, right? A lot of folks don't fall into what they love to do day to day, so they're trying to figure out a way to get there. Passive real estate investing is a way to do it. So it's also exciting in that people, I think, one, it's an easy way to kind of go about a venture on your own. Like starting something where you got to hire employees or sell a widget or do whatever. Like there is a lot involved in that. But you can be a business owner like right out of the gate if you can come up with a little capital. So I think that's another big draw for people is, look, I'm an engineer and I'm obviously not going to build this giant airplane myself or start a business that's going to make tanks. But I can buy a 3-unit in Lakewood and kind of have my own little, fiefdom and be my own boss for that thing. And then someday, maybe I'll do it well enough that I can tell my boss to go pound salt. And, because everybody wants to do that, right? I mean, nobody wants to have a boss, but it's just some easier for some folks to go after it. And real estate is, I think, an excellent way to kind of get that ball rolling.
No doubt. Tax advantages, passive cash flow, equity appreciation.
Yeah, real estate has been a very successful way to spend time in the United States and everywhere, right? I mean, across for the centuries, people that invest in real estate have done really well. So, usually real estate folks are the wealthy ones, and they're also the ones that will write the taxes. The tax code is written in a way for entrepreneurs, but also especially for real estate entrepreneurs. So all sorts of tax advantages. I don't even try to come across like a tax professional for how many advantages there are out there, but I've been around it long enough to know that there are a billion and they're always adding on. So it's a great way to invest your money.
Fantastic. Well, I know you guys can help. I know you can help my audience, our listeners, whether they have an e-com business or a business selling whatever the widget is, or full-time investing in real estate, part-time investing in real estate. I know you guys can help our audience achieve their goals. If somebody wanted to reach out and touch base with you guys, hire you, consult with you, advise, get some ideas about what to do with their company or how to grow their portfolio, how can our audience reach you?
Yeah, so check us out at vincentesquire.com or find us. We're on Facebook all the time. Reach out that way. Reach out on LinkedIn. Just our names, Paul and Adam Vincent. It's just the internet is remarkable in that you can contact anybody, right? I mean, I was reading a book, guy, and he's named Brian Chavis. He's down in Tampa. He's a good property manager. And I was reading his book on my drive down to Orlando about a year ago. This guy's book is legit, seems like a great guy, and I booked him. And then Adam and I were hanging out with him about 6 days later in Tampa for like 3 weeks, and it's the internet has knocked out all sorts of barriers. So I don't know how I got to that point, but anyway, that's a great
out. Feel free to reach out to a stranger.
Reach out to these strangers right here if you want.
What you were saying was it's that easy to reach out to you guys to get some business done.
There we
That's
go.
what you were saying.
There we go. We got there. We got there. Yeah. That's right.
That is awesome. Well, Paul and Adam, listen, thanks a lot, and appreciate all your insight, all your ideas and advice here on Accelerated Investor.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.